yeah, I picked up a few books in the last few weeks. Welcome back, readers and rapscallions. Ian has returned at long last. I have an assistant this time. This is Leo, one of the library cats, and I guess he's going to help me with my book haul. I just decided to start filming and I set everything up, and then he just kind of claimed the chair. So, yeah, he's gonna he's gonna help us read as well. So, one of the things I like about this time of year is that a lot of libraries in my area seem to do their used book sales around this time. It seems that their biggest ones are going to be in spring and fall, so like April, October-ish. You are just loving the attention, aren't you? And so you can go and find these sales and A, support your local libraries, which is awesome, and B, you can find a lot of awesome stuff that might be on your TBR list and you don't really even necessarily realize you're looking for it, but you can get it for like $2 and it's just awesome. So let's just go ahead and get into it. Stop showing your butt. So for so first up, what I got is Otherland by Ted Williams. This is one that I'm excited about because it's I think it's from the 80s and it's about a virtual reality. So what I understand is that it's a science fiction. Ted Williams is famous for Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, his fantasy series. This was a science fiction, and it is supposed to be a virtual reality story where one day people just stop coming back, I guess, and then there's some kind of conspiracy involved in it. That's the thing about these used book sales and getting books from them is that you just kind of have to go by what catches your interest. If it's something that's on your radar but you don't necessarily know a whole lot about, and that's kind of with one of these. I've heard a lot of good stuff about Ted Williams. I've got Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn up there on the shelf, even though I haven't read it yet. That's going to be after Wheel of Time, so probably in a month or two. But this is one that I saw that just kind of caught my eye, so we're going to give it a try at some point. Next, I've got Desperation by Stephen King. This was a first edition hardcover I found, and again, this was at a used book sale, so it was like $3, and that's awesome. And I am very much looking forward to more Stephen King. I've got probably like 8 or so of his books on my shelf that I've read, and I've got quite a few more on my shelf that I haven't read. But the guy is like super prolific. Stephen King needs no introduction. The master of horror. He does all kinds of stuff. The Stand is one of my favorite books I've ever read. So I'm really excited to get into more Stephen King, especially one of his horror novels. What I get from the gist of the novel is that it is Desperation is a town in Nevada and kind of like BF nowhere, and people start disappearing. There's something about some other dimension and some kind of monster, and it's got a lot of the Stephen King terror and weird stuff in it that everyone seems to love, including me. And let's see, I've got Duma Key and Institute to get through, but after that, this is going to be my next Stephen King on the list, so we're going to dive into that one when we get to it. Another one I found was Curse of the Mistwraith by Jenny Wirtz. What I heard about this one, again, I just saw it in a pile and picked it up and bought it and took it home. So I don't know a great deal about it, but what I do know is that it's a big scale epic fantasy series in Wars of Light and Shadow is the name of it, sorry. And it's one of those ones that's really complicated. And I quite enjoy books that you have to kind of like break down and read, and it's not just this simple story. Especially when it's outside of literary fiction, like if there's a fantasy or science fiction that you have to kind of break down and analyze as you're going through it, you know? You can't just have a straight reading of the text or you won't get everything out of it. And that's one of the things that I got, it was supposed to be what Curse of the Mistwraith is about. Again, it was just one that's kind of, just a book that's hanging out on my TBR that I sort of perked up when I saw it, and I picked it up, and we're going to dive in at some point eventually. I don't know when, but we're going to go for it. So next I've got What If. Now this one isn't one I got at a book sale. This is actually one that I got because I was at my parents' house, and my dad said to me, hey, you've got this big box of books downstairs that you should probably take with you because it's been here for years, ever since you moved out. It's like, okay, yay, yay. I didn't realize I had more books left over there. And this is the one that caught my interest the most. So I mentioned in my last video that I'm going to be doing more nonfiction. And I'm probably going to sub this in for my nonfiction for this foreseeable future. I'm not going to read this one all back to front because it's kind of big. But basically what this is a collection of essays from historians about certain linchpin moments in history or sequences of events if they had gone the other way. So like Waterloo goes a different way, the Mongols turn back in their conquest of Central Europe because Genghis Khan dies. I'm sure there's lots of different stuff about World War II, and if the Germans did this and then won, or stuff about the American Civil War, if Robert E. Lee made this decision and won Gettysburg or something. I haven't gotten too much into what the contents of it are. But I love history. I especially love speculative and alternate history because it's kind of like fun thought experiments to sort of see how completely different the world would have been if one or two people had just had different decisions or worse luck. So this is going to be my nonfiction. Probably for the next couple of months I'm going to be like sprinkling it in here and there to sort of break up everything else I've got going on. The other one I have is 1Q84 by Haruki Murakami. A couple reasons why I picked this one up. Again, it was just sort of floating on my TBR list and I got excited about it when I saw it, especially because it's a hardcover. I've heard good things about it from not that many people. One of the pitfalls I've noticed if you get a lot of your book recommendations from the internet is that there can be a bit of an echo chamber effect. On one hand, the cream of the crop rises to the top, so if you hear about good stuff that a lot of people like, you're probably going to enjoy it. But also, it actually gets to be a little bit of an effort to find popular stuff, especially if you like go into the sci-fi fantasy circles like I do, and find popular stuff that isn't Brandon Sanderson, isn't Wheel of Time, isn't Red Rising, etc., etc., all the same thing. So hearing a couple of people talk about this, including a friend of mine whose opinions I trust, really piqued my interest. What I gather is that there's a girl who kind of accidentally falls into another dimension or something, and everything is just a little bit off. The Q in 1Q84 stands for question. I think it has dystopian elements, so it's got some inspiration from 1984 by Orwell. And yeah, what I understand is that this book, when it was first published in Japan, sold out like in a day, and it's got huge acclaim. And it's also 3 books in one. I'm noticing that it's got, like, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but it's sort of split up here. But just another one that's kind of a curiosity for me, and I don't really know if I'm going to like it, but we'll see what happens when we get to it. So next one I've got might get me into a little bit of trouble in the comments. No, don't go anywhere. You're going to get me clicks and you're going to get me likes. I found a copy of Infinite Jest. So the reason why I say this might get me into some trouble is I have heard a couple of things about this book pretty consistently, that it is extremely thought-provoking. A lot of people consider it like their favorite book or even the great American novel, and then a lot of other people say it's a super pretentious book to read, so we'll just see what happens. Apparently it's like an alternate future type of thing where North America has become like a single nation or a coalition or something, is the backdrop. And then there's this movie or something or show or whatever in the book that is supposed to be so entertaining that once somebody watches it, that's all they want to do. Something like that. There's also parts of it that are set in a halfway house, so I guess it has themes of addiction, which is, I mean, a lot of people have that in their lives, or know someone who does, so that'll be interesting to kind of get into. Again, this is one of those ones it was just sort of on my radar. I saw a copy and I went for it. So I guess we'll see what happens. Alright, so these last ones I got in the past month, I did not get these as a sale. I got these because I bought them, and they finally came in the mail. These are the Malazan Book of the Fallen by Steven Erikson from the Broken Binding, and they are absolutely beautiful. That's another reason why I go to used book sales. I save money on books so I can get the really fancy ones. But let me set these down so that they don't fall over. I'm showing them. I'm just going to kind of go through these as I'm talking. But they have this beautiful cover art, and I stumbled across Broken Binding 6 months ago or so. For those of you who don't know, they're like a small to medium scale publisher out of the UK, and they do a lot of these really nice special edition books. Most of their stuff, from what I understand, is subscription based, but then they do things like this where they send out a list of if you're interested in it or not, and then they do the printings. It does take a little while to get your books, and they are a bit on the expensive side, but they are absolutely beautiful. If you're a collector, or if you're interested in collecting, if you just really like the stories, and you just kind of want to treat yourself, I guess, and just look at it, so beautiful. Oh my god. But yeah, so Malazan is a 10-book series. I've not read any of it yet, but I now have a reason to start. Oh geez. Oh, it's so cool. It's thought provoking because I just want to know what the heck is happening here. I'm so excited to get into this. So it's a 10-book series, big scale, epic fantasy, and I think I remember reading that Steven Erikson started it off of I want to say it was off of a D&D campaign or something, and then it sort of became this huge sprawling story, and it's somewhat self-contained, and then also the individual books are connecting and branching, and then by the end of the series become this huge sweeping epic narrative, and it's up there with people's absolute top tier favorite fantasy series. It's like Wheel of Time in scale, Lord of the Rings in scale in terms of lore and world building and just how incredible it is and epic. I hear a few things about it consistently. I hear a few things about it consistently, that it is absolutely worth it. It's amazing. It'll knock your socks off, and you're not really going to get it until your 5th reread. So we'll see how it goes, but these are the ones that I was most excited to see this month, and they finally get to go on my beautiful shelf. I am so excited for the release of the next ones. Oh, one more thing about them. Almost forgot. They're all signed too, so I finally have books that are signed by an author. That's just kind of cool. That's just a little bonus. So yeah, that was the book haul, going from probably the second week of March to it's the second week of April now when I'm filming this. So yeah, let me know what you guys think, and let's start an argument in the comments what I should bring up to the top of my to be read list. I've got a couple of projects I'm working on reading wise. I've got New Jedi Order to finish. I've got 4 more books left, and I have Wheel of Time. I just started book 13 of 14. So that's going to take me through to the end of May. But in June, I am not quite sure what I'm going to read next. So that'll be interesting to figure out what to do when I get there. Big things are happening around that time, though, so my mind is on those rather than on books. Like I mentioned, guys, I just want to say real quick, most of what you saw I got at used book sales from libraries. With the exception of the Broken Bindings, all of those were $2 a pop. So it's really nice to go to the libraries. You can't go specifically for something because with used book sales and used bookstores, you're limited by what's there. But you can find some absolute gems used, and you're supporting a local library, or if it's a bookstore, a small business, and you're able to get some really great reads and maybe step out of your comfort zone. I never thought I would read Infinite Jest until I saw it, and this is give me $2, awesome, 1,000-page book. So much time that I get to spend in literary worlds for only a couple dollars. It's just one of the things I like about it. But yeah, let me know what you guys think I should read next when I finish. See you next time.